The Wild Boars of Madness. Chapter 8. Foehn.
In the spring, although it had officially arrived on the calendar, the Huahezegu Valley remained blanketed in glistening white snow. Unable to wait for the snow to melt, the Commune Secretary organized the snow removal team and began building terrace fields in the valley using stacked stones. Several large tractors were brought in from elsewhere, and soil was shoveled from the flat ground onto carts, carried halfway up the mountainside. There, it was mixed with mountain sand and thinly spread into the terrace fields, creating a series of steps. The wooden frame at the mouth of the valley was also set up. In this time, 1-foot-long iron nails were used. Yang became the calligraphy master, guiding the carpenters and helpers to write the remaining characters. Due to the past incident, the Commune Secretary didn't dare to rush the writing process. Yang and the carpenter Mijang installed safety ropes, stood on the frame, and slowly advanced. After more than 10 days, they finally completed the task. Mijang said, "Damn it, today we'll dismantle the frame, and tomorrow we'll start filling the terrace fields." "Let's dismantle the frame tomorrow," Yang replied. "Okay." However, people couldn't stay idle. While dismantling the frame, they carefully inspected and patched the thin spots in the lime mortar. There were people coming in and out of the valley entrance, and some gossip suggested that things weren't going well with the secretary. At noon, the sun hung in the sky and warmth began to spread on half of the cliff. A warm breeze emerged from the mountain valley, making everyone feel comfortable. Mijang loosened his hemp belt, took off the winter coat he had been wearing for the whole winter. Mijang said, "Thank goodness, the bitter cold days of this year are over." Yang also felt warmth returning to his body. His hands, covered in frostbite from the long winter, even had a slight itch. Mijang said, "Damn it, as long as the weather is warm, life gets better. We can go back to the mountains, and the warm wind from the Huahezegu Valley probably makes it even warmer there. It's strange, isn't it? It's warmer on the mountain than down here. I've never seen this in my half a lifetime." Yang knew Yang wasn't exaggerating. Carpenters in the mountains often had to go up to find wood, and although being a carpenter was a high-level skill, a carpenter who could find good wood was a master. A master had to know how to look at trees, whether the wood's core was straight or not, and it had to be visible through the bark. Different requirements applied to making columns and beams. Columns required a straight core to stand upright without warping, while beams needed a slightly off-center core to provide proper arching strength when placed horizontally. This knowledge was vast, and if only the Mijang would teach him. The Mijang said, "In my half a lifetime, I neither speak of nor have ever seen warm winds coming down from the mountains, nor have ever heard of such a thing." Yang responded, "I have heard of it. My father told me about it, and he has seen it. The son of Liu, the landlord, claims it's the Foehn that comes down from the mountains, and some of that burning wind can dry up trees and set them on fire." Mijang scoffed. "Nonsense. I've never heard of such a thing in my entire life. How could there be hot winds coming down from the snowy mountains? And can they really start a fire? What kind of wind are you talking about?" Yang felt uneasy, racking his brain to recall the words his father had told him, afraid he might have misheard or misremembered something. His father had said that one year, he and Liu, the landlord's son, encountered the Foehn outside the Fallen Leaves Valley. For most of the day, the snow on the slopes melted, and in the dark evening, a murky flood rushed out from the valley, carrying tree leaves over 10 feet high. It swept through their tent camp at the valley entrance, chasing them. They climbed up a high slope, barely escaping the disaster. The leaves, some new and some old, had been on the trees for who knows how many years, reduced to fragmented bits with only a few remaining leaf veins. "Damn, that's just bragging," Mijang exclaimed loudly, drawing hearty laughter from a few helpers under the scaffold. Yang didn't want to speak anymore. The wind really did blow warmly at the valley entrance, making it a cozy afternoon with a dry mouth and a parched tongue. Before dusk arrived, work in the valley had also come to an end. Groups of Commune members, carrying shovels and dustpans on their backs, walked out. The large tractor was filled with men and women who had worked diligently. Yang sat on the lowest level of the wooden frame, feeling sullen. "My father wouldn't lie to me. He told me this story 2 or 3 times, and it's always the same." On the side of the mountain road, a hand tractor rumbled up, its cart filled with soil. The Commune Secretary and the militia captain sat on top of the soil pile. The hand tractor became stuck at the new entrance of the mountain road, its engine rattling and emitting black smoke into the sky. Seeing the crowd gathering at the road, the Commune Secretary shouted loudly, "Stop! Stop! Stop!" Move back. It's still early. Don't you hear? Turn off the engine. The hand tractor driver turned off the engine, and the militia captain jumped down to hold back the crowd. The commune secretary stood on top of the soil pile in the tractor bed, waving his hands vigorously. Unable to move forward, the large tractor blocked the road, and all engines were turned off. Commune secretary said, "It's still early. Who told you to stop working? You've even taken off your warm coats. It's perfect weather for field work. Hurry back, hurry back. Hundreds of overtime pancakes will be delivered shortly." Everyone spoke excitedly, mentioning the warm afternoon, with the snow on the slope melting, turning into pools of water with each step. Commune secretary said, "You're all grown-ups, can you walk properly? Don't make excuses to slack off. Go back, go back." Unable to resist, everyone reluctantly turned back. Young Yang shouted loudly, "Don't go in, don't go in. There's a mountain flood coming." People stopped under the wooden frame. Young Yang grabbed the cedar pillar, straightened up, and said, "Today and tomorrow, there will be a big mountain flood. Don't go into the mountains." The secretary saw that the crowd had gathered under the wooden frame, not moving, and quickly walked to the front. "Yang Tu, what's your kid saying?" Asking everyone not to go to work in the mountains. Little Yang said, "Today and tomorrow, there will be a big mountain flood. Don't go into the mountains." Little Yang continued, "Today, the weather is hot and the warm wind has blown all afternoon. My father said it's the Foehn. The ice and snow on the mountainside have all melted, flowing down the mountain. It gathers in each gully, and when the ponds and the gullies are full, a big flood will come." The secretary was suddenly furious. "Yang Tu, you little kid, spreading false information. If you don't shut up right now, I'll tie you up and charge you with the crime of counter-revolutionary spreading of false information."